Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to Ask Mr. Shadi Live. This is where I answer questions based on my knowledge, skills, heartbreaks, setbacks, and successes in order to help you to know and do better in your business and your career. Thank you for those who are checking in. For those who are checking in, make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you for those who are tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe so that the next time I go live, you get the updates as it happens. Hello, shipmate. Thank you for joining in. Tough brown belt individual, jiu-jitsu, MMA, you name it. Very tough guy, Jeffrey, on the broadcast. So this is Ask Mr. Shadi Live, and I'm going to take a couple questions that I received via email. One from Sam from Indiana and Maria from Houston, Texas. So we're going to talk about some interesting topics tonight, and I'm going to go into the questions here. So this is from Sam from Indiana, and it says, Shadid, I got your information from when you spoke in Tyson's Corner at the Restart Career Fair. I was there. It happened. I am a senior software engineer for a major tech firm with an office in the greater Indianapolis area. I love my job, and I feel like it was something I was born to do, as I love solving problems for my clients. It gives me a thrill and a rush that is indescribable. My career path has lots of travel involved to various client sites around the country, which was great at first, but as I'm becoming more established financially, I'm looking to put down roots and start a family, so travel needs to slow down a bit. My situation is that I value the benefits of my company and the stability. I'm not sure I'm cut out for the unpredictability of running my own business and the accounting and IRS headaches. This is causing conflict within me. So the question is, should I man up and start my own firm, or continue to be on the hamster wheel for the security that my company provides? Thank you, Shadi, for all that you do. Now, so for those of you who are tuning in and caught the end of the question, Sam from Indiana wants to know, based on his career, which he loves his career, he loves the benefits, the security, everything that it provides, the travel, and he loves his job. But he feels like he needs more security in terms of what he wants to do, and also in terms of having the control to travel less as he wants to start a family now that he's a bit more financially secure. So his question is, should he just man up and just jump out into entrepreneur land and start his own business, or should he just be unhappy and continue to travel and be on a hamster wheel that he's not necessarily happy with? His home life situation may be in havoc as well. Thank you for tuning in. So I'm going to answer Sam's question. My man Sam the man from Indiana. First of all, thank you for sending me your question and admitting a bit of vulnerability. A lot of senior professionals give the appearance that they have it all figured out. So I appreciate and value that you're sharing your experience with me, and also giving me the permission to share it on Ask Mr. Shadi Live. Now, I'd like to point out that I believe that all of us have an inner entrepreneur, but entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And I'm going to let you in on a secret, a bit of vulnerability myself, that isn't too secret for those who know me well. Although I was raised in a family of entrepreneurs, ranging from catering businesses to chefs to cleaning services that my family owned, and I've seen many examples of entrepreneurship growing up, the decision, when I was faced personally with the decision of throwing caution to the wind and starting my own enterprise, stepping out there to do my own thing, that was in fact one of the 3 scariest decisions of my entire adult life. Extremely scary. Now, I did manage to be surrounded, luckily, by an amazing support network, which included people like Nigel Knowles, Sharon Munoz, and many, many others at the time. Too many to name. It'd be a whole nother broadcast in terms of thank yous. So I was able to overcome those challenges when they appeared. In fact, I want you to realize, Sam, that a large portion of my network, they're gifted with the talent of making existing companies greater or operate more smoothly, or helping them succeed beyond their wildest imaginations. It's a gift for them. So not everyone has to go out and necessarily start their own enterprise. There are many people who went to school or have life responsibilities that prevent them from throwing caution to the wind, and they have the gift of taking something that already exists and says, wait a minute, this would be great if we turn the dial to the left, or we turn the dial to the right, or we adjust a few things, bring on some personnel, and voila, the company succeeds beyond its wildest dreams and expectations. So by my definition, those individuals are known as intrapreneurs. So entrepreneurs operate without, entrepreneurs operate within the general corporate structure. The fact is, Sam, the man from Indiana, that any entrepreneur who wants to live the laptop lifestyle that we've all been sold, or be able to have a self-sustaining business, needs intrapreneurs, or people who are trained, experienced, and most importantly, care enough about the business to redefine new processes and procedures where they may not exist within the current framework of the business. It's a symbiotic relationship that fits together like puzzle pieces. So, as I mentioned, the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have, we have these discussions a lot, is finding the right people. No entrepreneur on the face of the planet will succeed beyond their wildest imaginations without having people who have this knowledge, skills, and abilities to observe what's going on within the business and care enough to adjust policies and procedures to help the company grow. If an entrepreneur does not have intrapreneurs within their team, within their staff, or operating as consultants within the business will not grow, or the entrepreneur will basically be the owner of a job. And when you see many sole proprietors, for example, or business owners who just simply can't let go, they're involved in every single process of the business. This is because they do not have access or have built relationships or established their business model to the point where they can bring on talented entrepreneurs. So Sam, I want you to realize that you have value in terms of what you bring to the marketplace. Now, I'm going to share with you a few aspects that you can utilize to get your game changer hat on and start to establish your value, because you are valuable to entrepreneurs that understand your value and that you fit within a position. And if you follow the suggestions that I'm going to put down for you, you'll be able to write your own ticket. But let me put on my business therapist hat for a second, just for a moment. I will tell you that desire and what you desire is control instead of freedom. Many entrepreneurs desire freedom. So the fact that you feel some anxiety or conflict in terms of, oh, wow, I don't know if I have this conflict. I like my job. I like my benefits. I like the stability. I like the travel. And I don't want to do the accounting or deal with the IRS. There's nothing wrong with that. My cousin Steven is on the broadcast. How are you, sir? Checking in from Philadelphia, USA. That is my birthplace, ladies and gentlemen. So continuing on with Sam's scenario, Sam from Indiana, and his scenario of loving his job, but wanting more control to choose where he wants to work so he doesn't have to travel as much. He wants to start a family. He wants to put down roots. And the career that he loves is sending him all around the country, And that's not good for him right now at this phase of his life. That's perfectly natural, normal, and expected as we grow older. So, as I mentioned, if I put on my business therapist hat, what Sam desires is control instead of freedom. And I can also gather from Sam's question, I look in between the lines. There's things that are said and things that are not said. Is that being on the road isn't the best recipe for a happy home life that Sam is seeking. Only the Kid checking in. Ryan Pratcher Bay joining us today. Very talented artist, very smart individual, and thank you for tuning in, sir. So back to Sam's scenario. It's being on the road isn't the best recipe for a happy home life. Sam wants to be present for the moments that matter and the people who matter most, and that's important. So control for Sam is more important than freedom, which is what many entrepreneurs prefer. So Sam doesn't want to necessarily break out into the world and start his own business. He wants to be great within an existing company. And you know what? That is okay. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. I believe that we all have an inner entrepreneur, and the key is to take ownership of your content and ownership of your ideas so that you can choose which companies you want to work for. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, ladies and gentlemen who are joining us. And if you watch this on demand, take notes on this. Mike Stewart, the great Mike Stewart, love your post. Great post today on self-defense. Great stuff. Love your school. And what we're talking about right now is Ask Mr. Shadi Live, Sam from Indiana, and his scenario. So what I'm going to share with you is in my discussions with many entrepreneurs, business owners, individuals who employ others, many of them do not give the same loyalty that you as a dedicated employee or consultant gives to the company. If, and this is sad reality, if there was a way to reduce the workforce within the company and save the company money over the long term, they'd get rid of half of the staff in a heartbeat. Sad but true. So this is why I say to Sam that taking ownership of his ideas, of his content, of his overall intellectual property is job number one if he does not want to step out into the wilderness, the cold reality of entrepreneurship. It's scary. As I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, stepping out, although I was raised in an entrepreneurial family, my cousin Steven is on the broadcast. He will tell you we've had cheesesteak restaurants. We're from Philadelphia. We've had cleaning services. We've had, you name it, catering, chefs, you name it. And the decision to step out and become my own entrepreneur, meaning I got the call that said, hey, this does not resonate with you. You need to step out and do your own thing. It was one of the 3 scariest decisions that I've made in my adult life. I've been in the military. I've, done all types of crazy endeavors and daredevil types of stunts. But stepping out to start my own enterprise was scary to me. And it was through the encouragement and the networks of entrepreneurs that I've joined and befriended people, and they just helped me along the way that I've been able to survive and ultimately pay it forward and give back to others through broadcasts like this and other things that I do within the entrepreneurial frame. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to share with you and also answer Sam's question, the 3 guidelines for game-changing authority. Now, what Sam lacks is the roadmap to establish his own individual authority. So these are the 3 guidelines for game-changing authority. If you follow these guidelines, you will be able to cash your own ticket. If you are an entrepreneur and if you are an entrepreneur, this will help you establish yourself as a thought leader. I've helped individuals time and time again with these 3 general tips, formulas, strategies. Number 1, are you ready? Grab a piece of paper, grab a tablet, teach your dog and cat to text because we're about to go into it. Thank you very much for those of you who are tuning in. Number 1, game changers. Package their ideas into unique theories and or concepts. I'll give you an NBA example since the playoffs are probably on. I need to work on my business. You know, Steph Curry, God bless him, but those 3-pointers don't help me reach my quarterly objective. So I'll check the game after I'm done sharing this value with you guys and ladies who are tuning in. Phil Jackson, like I said, NBA example. Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, basketball coaches, invented the triangle offense. For example, they did not add additional players or change the rules. What they did was observe what could work within the rules and packaged a methodology that was slapped together as the triangle offense. So as a game changer, you need to look at the game as it exists. You need to look at the rules. You need to look at the loopholes, how you can get ahead, and package those ideas into a strategy, a methodology, a framework that will help you, that will lead back to your overall platform and establish you as a thought leader. So as an entrepreneur, what you need to focus on is how can you package what you're currently working on within the game that you're playing in order to bring notoriety in a positive way in terms of establishing yourself as a thought leader towards your business, your brand, and what you're trying to establish as an authority. It's very important. Number 2 of the 3 guidelines for game-changing authority, game changers have an easily verifiable trail of their career milestones and clients. Sam, invest your time into capturing case studies for your current clients. Since you work for a company that places you in front of various projects, as I mentioned, Sam travels the country, he's working on different projects left, right, and center. So he needs to use this opportunity for those of you who are tuning in to use those as case studies in order to serve as a breeding ground for his particular knowledge, demonstratable, if that's a word, knowledge, skills, and abilities as it relates to problems that he's working on. Now, what should be in a case study? Because, you know, he may not have access to a case study template. So here's what I suggest. Number 1, list the client, list the problem, list the tools that are used to solve the problem and the result. Now, what else should go into a case study? Use metrics, use traffic, use dollar amounts, and other quantifiable means to measure. So since we have individuals on the broadcast, let's make this real. So we have Mike Stewart Jr. on the broadcast, and Mike Stewart, he owns a martial arts academy, great academy, with a few locations throughout the greater Maryland area. So in terms of case studies, what would work in certain cases, let's take a child who was going through bullying at school, and through going through Mike Stewart's bully-proof program, he was able to come out on the other end with more confidence and a set of skills in terms of self-defense to defend him or herself against unknown attackers, larger kids at school, and also the verbal skills to diffuse any situations before it turned into a physical confrontation. So working with that child, whether boy or girl, and documenting, maybe taking some pictures of before and after, or getting some video, interviewing the kid and saying, okay, how did you feel before? And the kid would say, well, I felt uneasy, I felt uncertain. I was on the receiving end of a lot of beatdowns and punishment. But as I went through the program, I started to gain confidence for myself. And when confrontation came my way, I knew how to verbally diffuse it, number 1. Number 2, I knew how to defend myself if it went into a physical altercation. And let's say also, I was also able to subdue the attacker without causing additional bodily harm until a teacher or an administrator or security guard was able to arrive to the scene. So that would be an excellent case study for Mike Stewart's school, as it would help his particular business. So if Mike went into the game changer role and wanted to establish his academy as a game changer using the 3 guidelines for game changing authority, then that would be a way to leverage case studies. And again, use metrics, use traffic, in terms of websites, dollar amounts, and other quantifiable means to measure. Does that all make sense? If it makes sense, send me likes, add comments, and make sure you subscribe to this broadcast. Number 3 of the 3 guidelines for game-changing authority: game changers publish their ideas for like-minded people to consume and for new people to be introduced to. Sam, and for the people, this was Sam's original question from Indiana, but for those of you who are tuning in, every game changer that I know is publishing. Every one of them, in some way, shape, or form. The most popular means of publishing happens to be blogging. What should your blog contain? Number 1, since Sam is a software engineer, it can be applied to other industries and scenarios. So just listen closely, take notes, and if you have a question about how it can be applied, then just type a comment and I'll be happy to answer it for you live on the broadcast. No cue cards in the background. Answer it live, just for you. So here we go. Number 1, break fix. Here is the problem. Here's how I solved the problem using my methodologies or by borrowing approach from various colleagues. Number 2, lessons learned. So the example would be, here is how I've grown based on the scenario that I've faced personally or professionally. And number 3, lightning rod. When news breaks, here's my opinion. Now the caveat to this, for those of you who are tuning into the broadcast, is that your opinion should never, ever be neutral as a thought leader. So in Sam's case, if the Microsoft conference is, or the Apple conference is released and there's some new Siri add-on that allows you to get deeper analytics on NBA basketball, then since the playoffs are on, then Sam needs to have an opinion on how that feature will work based on methodologies or clients that he's worked with, and provide a concrete opinion. No wishy-washy behavior. I feel this way about this tool, but we'll see how it all plays out. That establishes you as a thought leader. A thought leader should never be neutral when it comes to topics within his or her sphere of influence, or the area that they dominate, or that they're working towards their 10,000 hours of mastery. Does that make sense? So in review, game changers package their ideas into unique theories and or concepts. Number 2, game changers have an easily verifiable trail of their career milestones. And number 3, game changers publish their ideas for 2 audiences: like-minded people, and for those who are new to the party, those who are introduced to what that individual, that game changer has to offer. Does this make sense? Again, 3 guidelines for game-changing authority. So once again, thank you very much for your question, Sam. I want you to realize that entrepreneurs, people who live every day to make other companies great, are valuable. For entrepreneurs, they cannot free themselves from their business unless there's an entrepreneur collective or game-changing senior level entrepreneur that is part of their overall business mix. So I don't want you to ever feel that there's a conflict for not wanting to jump out the window and become a full-blown entrepreneur. There are many factors that lead to entrepreneurial success, and you need to keep that in mind. I do want you to own your ideas and build methodologies around them, if that makes sense. Now, let's see where we are time-wise. Do we have time for one more? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, like I said, this is coming from Maria from Texas, Houston to be exact, H-Town. So, I'm going to go into Maria's question. Shadi, I feel like I always have to prove myself to clients and that I'm attracting in my business. This is leaving me feeling like I'm in a rat race working for free to establish some sort of value in the client's mind in the hopes that they'll bring me on full time. Uh-oh, this is very, very familiar scenario. Maria states that this scenario has led to more disappointment than it has led to successful scenarios with high-paying clients. Maria says she loves working with up and coming startups and helping out nonprofits in her community. But those nonprofits and up and coming startups always want a discount and free services, which is fine because sometimes it feels good to, work within companies that are doing great work throughout Houston. So she asked if I give a discount for my services, I end up disgusted with myself. That's a strong word because I've now worked below my established rate and the client is not trying to upgrade that rate based on great service that I provide and perform. What should I do and how do I know how to establish and evaluate good opportunities to work for free versus paid opportunities? So the age-old question and scenario, how do I go from fee or free to fee? Or how do I escape the work for free in exchange for some pay down the line? That's a very dangerous trap. So we're going to answer Maria's question, and hopefully it provides value for those of you who are tuning in or will watch on the broadcast. And to get future updates when I publish different Facebook Lives or Ask Mr. Shadi Live, you can subscribe at the bottom and you'll get the notification when I go live. It can happen at any time. I could be in the middle of a meeting and want to share something with you during a break. I could be on stage about to speak to entrepreneurs and go-getters. You name it, it can happen. It can happen at any time. So, Maria, you must understand the concept of working for the greater good, which I will explain. You must also ask your clients or companies and individuals that you've signed on to work with or help the magic questions, which I will share with you. Now, after I share the magic questions with you, Maria, and for you that are watching this broadcast, if you continue to be taken care of or taken advantage of as a service provider, as an expert, as a consultant, someone who is trying to get their foot in the door and do great things in this world, after I share these questions and you continue down that path, that is your fate that you seal for yourself. So as the old saying goes, you will never pay more than that which you pay for free. So you also have to keep in mind that resentment is a price that you have to pay for working below your rate or feeling like you're taking on projects and the employer or the company or the startup or the nonprofit is not valuing your time and your services. So, as service providers and subject matter experts, as far as you'll never get more than what you pay for free is especially true because our time is our most valuable resource. Those of us who are entrepreneurs and go-getters understand that time is the most valuable resource. So no matter what your time is, or your time per hour ratio, whether it's $5 an hour or it's $5,000 an hour, you can only do so much. There's only so many massages you can give. There's only so many haircuts you can give. There's only so many private lessons you can give. So, Maria, I want you to realize that we've all been where you are. We've all spent years working on our craft, whether you're a hairdresser, massage therapist, karate instructor, an accountant, an artist, you name it. You must understand the very real concept of the approval trap. Now, I want you to listen carefully, those of you who are tuning in on this broadcast. The approval trap. What the approval trap is as follows. If I work for someone, they will like me. If they like me, they will pay me. The deeper causes of the approval trap are that you don't feel good enough without the approvals of others professionally, and having people approve of you, get this, is just one way to feel good enough. So the approval trap is if I work for someone, they will like me. If they like me, they will pay me. It's a trap. It never works. You have to define what the terms are in the beginning and value yourself enough to stick with that. And the two most common misconceptions that you must understand and overcome are as follows. Number one, we must pay our dues by working for free in order to get to the top. And number two, there are no circumstances where we should work for free. These are two very strong misconceptions. Now, let's take the first one. We must pay our dues for working for free in order to get to the top. It's a misconception, Maria, because it sets the expectation of abuse in order to make it. You should not be abused in order to make it within your business. Now, here are three suggestions that I have for you and for those of you who are tuning in. Number one, free consultations that lead to a paid service if there is a larger problem to solve. Len the Plumber does this magically. They are the best at this particular process. They are so professional when they come in, and they'll do everything great for free to analyze the problem and get an idea. Now, if there's work to be done, then you have to invest into that problem to get it solved. Or what they'll do in some cases is they will charge a consultation fee. And if the problem is larger, so the consultation fee will be $50. And if the problem is $350, then they roll the price of the consultation into the overall service. So both scenarios really work. I have two others for you. Good, better, and best pricing tiers. So set a lower quality pricing tier as far as this is all your services will be good across the board. So provide a good pricing tier with a return on the exchange that you're going to provide in terms of customer service. Provide a better pricing tier, and then provide a best or premium pricing tier to give the client the ability to choose at which level they want to support you. Hence, the key is to stay firm to those pricing tiers. If you offer good, better, best, and then you turn around and they say, well, I don't want to work with you then. And then you say, I was just joking. What do you mean? Then they will not value you ever, and you will continue to be devalued, and it will create resentment within the work and relationship that you have with them. So, and finally, utilize templates that can be deployed with minor customization. So let's say you're a technical writer and you need to provide a documentation and you charge for that documentation. Create templates, which is reproducible work, and make sure that those templates provide the general information to get started. And with minor tweaks, you can basically use that to serve the clients that you work with. That way, minimal effort is being invested into that client, and it allows you to keep things moving forward, and you'll be able to support them at a level that leaves a positive referral. Now, the reality is that, yes, we must all pay our dues by establishing credibility. The reality is also, you do not need to do a bunch of work for unknown supporters. And thank you for joining me. Good evening, sir. My guy. Now, you must keep in mind that you must do your work for the greater good. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the greater good is defined as supportive partnerships and or relationships with the people you're working with. So here are the questions that I want you to ask your potential nonprofit or startup company in this scenario, someone who wants you to work for free in exchange for pay down the line. Number one, these are very important. This is like the first date. If you ask these questions and you find out negative answers to any more than two of these questions, you run the other way. Number one, are you willing to provide me with a written or video testimonial in exchange for my services? Number two, are you willing to feature my work in a case study that I will write up and you approve? Because what they'll say is, in that case, well, I don't have the time to write up a case study. That's why you take them off the hook in terms of responsibility, and you say, can I feature the work I'm doing in the case study that I write and that you approve. So the other concern is that, oh, you're just going to write all stuff that isn't true, and you give them that ability to approve, which is very important. And number 3, are you willing to let me utilize your logo on my website in my partners section? So logo provides a credibility indicator. It shows that you work with people, or you're affiliated or associated with proven winners, or this is especially important if you're trying to get your foot in the door or get things started. Having partners, having supporters, having affiliates helps to warm the transaction between those who are new to what you offer, or for those who are willing to make a buying decision based on what you're offering. So when you're selling things online or in person, the ability to convey know, like, and trust within your offer is paramount to landing the sale. Does that make sense? The ability to get your market or your target to know, like, and trust is very important. So that is very important. And also, I think I left one out. I have 4 here. Are you willing to provide me with a written or video testimonial in exchange for my services? So testimonials are very important. I may have repeated that, but it's for your benefit. In terms of what you need to define, or the questions you need to get answered in order to determine if this company, if this individual, if this nonprofit, if this startup, if it's this whoever it is that wants you to provide services below your normal rate, if there's a negotiation, if there's haggling, I'm going to tell you the real deal in terms of the common denominator that all of us face is that we all must put in our dues to establish our credibility. The misconception is that we must work for free, we must take all types of abuse and not get paid for what we do. That is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to realize that, and in order to protect yourself, you ask the magic questions. Are you willing to provide me with a testimonial? Are you willing to feature my work in a case study that I will write up and that you will approve? Are you willing to let me utilize your logo on my website in my partners section? If they say no to any 2 of those questions, you run the other way. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get up out of there. So now, if you're still with me through the end of this broadcast, I've answered 2 very in-depth questions. We've gone over 37 minutes. I thank you for tuning in. This video will be available on my Facebook timeline, and make sure you subscribe as well. If you're still with me through the end of the broadcast, you may know me personally like Ant, or I've had great conversations like with Ryan, Only the Kid, Mike Lang. Well, thank you very much, Mike Lang. The live broadcast is something that we all have to work through because it's very unpredictable. There's Wi-Fi issues. There's, your phone may run out of storage. In my case, my dog may jump in the room and start barking and asking for food. He's pretty greedy. So there's a lot of reasons why a live broadcast may not work. And I'm thankful that I made it through to the very end of this broadcast. So I'll check out your broadcast as well. Make sure I subscribe to yours. Let me like your post here. And make sure that I support you as well. Thank you very much for your support. Now, if you're still with me through the end of this, I've answered 2 questions. One from Sam from Indiana, USA, Indianapolis to be exact. And Maria from H-Town, Texas. Houston, Texas, ladies and gentlemen. And focusing on different aspects of the entrepreneurial spectrum. One more focused on authority and the anxiety that exists with not wanting to be a full-blown entrepreneur, but wanting control of the lifestyle and the travel, so on and so forth, and being a thought leader within his given industry. He's a software engineer. And Maria is a freelancer, a consultant who is being asked to do a lot of work and being taken advantage of because of her willingness to support her community and people who work within her community, but being asked to be doing things for discounts and for low pay or no pay at all. So I share with her the approval trap and why it's a mistake to expect to work for free, and what she can do in order to ask the 3 magic questions, ladies and gentlemen, in order to avoid the whole thing from the start. I promise you, if you press rewind on this video once it's published, you will know when. Take those questions and run with those. Steal them. Use them, please, because it will save you time and frustration. And I want you to work with clients that value your time, that don't want to haggle you for every nickel and dime, and see your value. So if you're still with me, you're definitely a go-getter. You're someone who invests in themselves. And if you're seeking a mindset revamp, realignment, or revision, 3 R's, to enable you to be, do, and have the lifestyle in business that you'd like to have, whether you're an authority, whether you're the manager of an exciting side project, or you're crazy like I am and has hopped out the window to become a full-blown entrepreneur, then I encourage you to join the Winner's Circle. The Winner's Circle is a collective of individuals who are sharpening our swords together in order to be great. Contrary to what nature and National Geographic has taught us, ladies and gentlemen, eagles must travel in flocks in order to gain collective wisdom, number 1, avoid pitfalls, and shorten the learning curve that it takes to be successful. Eagles must travel in flocks. Entrepreneurs must travel in flocks. It's the biggest lesson I've learned in the last 2 years, is that networks are essential to entrepreneurial success. So I want you to click the link within the post once it's published and subscribe to the Winner's Circle. Very low investment. All you can do is learn something and be a part of some cool events and conference calls and strategy sessions that go way in depth than what we've discussed here, because I can take your unique situation and tie it into what you're going through and your challenges. And as we grow as a Winner's Circle, you will have greater insight and resources and collective wisdom. I'm actually a counselor for SCORE Baltimore, which is the SCORE is the largest nationwide network of business mentors. So I am a actual counselor for them, and all the resources that I have through the Small Business Association will be available to you by being available and accessible via the Winner's Circle. I can't answer every Facebook post, so this allows us to work together in a closer mindset and mentality, and talk shop and talk offline and discuss the details to help us all grow. I need talented people around me each and every day, and the Winner's Circle will help us connect and grow and be eagles that travel in flocks and learn from each other, learn from our collective mistakes, and grow and be stronger. So I want you, in closing, to start off this week with your primary goal in mind, but also stay hyper focused on the process that it takes to reach that goal. I believe in you. You're talented, and you're going to do great things with this week, because we all intended to be. I intended for you, and I intended for me. So I thank you very much. I'm Shadidi Laser. This has been Ask Mr. Shadid Live. You can email me directly at hello, HELLO, at MrShadid.com. If you have questions that will be featured on the next live broadcast, make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you very much. Dominate your path and be great in everything you be, do, and have. Make time for the people who matter in the moments that you need to be present for. Entrepreneurship without balance is a waste of time. It's ownership of a job, and we work hard for those who matter and for the moments that we need to be available for. Thank you very much for your time, your investment of energy, and have a great start of your week. Dominate everything you come in contact with. Over and out.